Today, I'm going to be trying every single donut that is offered at Tim Hortons here in Canada. Not only did I want to do this video for viewers outside of Canada wanting to know what kinds of donuts are here at this Canadian staple, but I also wanted to do this video for my fellow Canadians who might not know the amount of donuts that are actually offered, because after looking at the Tim Hortons app through all 9 locations in my city, there were over 20 different types of donuts that were offered. Of course, every Tim Hortons have donuts like the old-fashioned plain, the apple fritter, and even the ever so popular Boston cream. But there are actually donuts that you may have never heard of because they're not at every single Tim Hortons location. But luckily enough, while traveling to these various locations, I did ride my bike because there is a huge intake of calories I'm going to be consuming while doing this video for you guys today. And if you end up enjoying this type of content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But nonetheless, let's kick off with the very first location. So we're off to the first Tim Hortons location, which is home to the chocolate eclair donut, which is basically like a Long John, but it's cut in half and there's whipped cream instead of the normal cream. Now I'm going to be trying this, in which this is a very nice flaky donut. I do like the texture of it. Then we got ourselves the limited time only Canada Celebration donut, which looks just like a vanilla dip, except the sprinkles are switched to Canadian-like colors. Just as I suspected, nothing really too special, to be honest, just like I mentioned, a vanilla dip donut. Then we got the limited edition Camp Day donut, which looks to be just like a double chocolate donut, except some chocolate shavings. This actually does have a little bit more flavor than the double chocolate, just because of the fact, of course, that it's got those chocolate shavings, including white chocolate, which I do like that aspect of it. This was one that wasn't on the Tim Hortons app, that being the blueberry sour cream glaze. And not gonna lie, this actually tastes absolutely awesome. Definitely a great tasting donut. Give that one a thumbs up for sure. Off to the next Tim Hortons location, which there were 2 different donuts that I needed to have here. First one here is the coconut cream donut, which is basically a Boston cream with vanilla frosting and then bits of coconut pieces on top, which I actually was very surprised by how good this is, because I'm actually not a fan of coconut. And there is the cream filling in case you guys wanted to check this out. The sugar loop donut, which I was a little bit iffy on this, and after trying this definitely was not the greatest tasting donut. It literally was a mouthful of sugar. Then at the next location, this was home to the chocolate marshmallow ring donut, basically like a chocolate dip, but there is a filling inside plus chocolate on top with chocolate bits. Now trying this for the very first time, since this is a limited time only donut, and I'm actually very surprised by how this actually tastes. And you can see the filling inside and how it's more of a whipped cream rather than the cream you'd get in a Boston cream. While I was out and about in the hot weather, I did get myself a large iced coffee, because any size coffee, both hot or cold, gets you a classic donut for $1, which my choice is the old-fashioned plain, which is actually my usual go-to. And of course, once again, trying this, and honestly, this is such an underrated donut for being just plain. The next Tim Hortons location I went to was actually home to the chocolate coconut donut, which after tasting the coconut cream donut, I was excited to see how this one was going to end up tasting. And after trying this, honestly, I was a bit surprised by how tasty it actually was, but it's probably something I won't get again. So this video ended up taking multiple days to record because I simply could not eat 20 plus donuts in a single day. So I continued this video the following day, and I actually went back to that last location you saw, where I got a total of 7 donuts, which this one here is the sour cream glaze, alongside the honey dip. And because I got this in a 6-pack, the other 5 donuts I got were the apple fritter, the maple dip, and then below we have ourselves the double chocolate, the Canadian maple, and then we have ourselves the chocolate glazed. We're gonna try out the sour cream glaze first, and this is a really good donut, especially after tasting the blueberry one. I knew that I was really gonna like this one. Now trying the chocolate glazed, and this one is okay. It's just a regular chocolate donut, but with the glaze on top of it. The Canadian maple, the substitute to the Boston cream, and this is also a heavily underrated donut. The maple replacing the chocolate here is pretty tasty. Then we got the maple dip. This one is okay. This is just like some of the other donuts that follow this same formula, also with just a spread of the topping, whether it's chocolate or in this case maple. Now we got the double chocolate, and this one is not too bad. Also, of course, the Camp Day donut is like this, but with the chocolate shavings. Now we got ourselves the honey dip donut, and this one is pretty good. I've had it in the Timbit form, but never actually the full-on donut form, so I knew what what I was expecting in this donut. And I thought I would save the heavy hitter for last, being the apple fritter. The flavor of apple just bursts out so nicely, and how flaky the donut is also. This donut is definitely mid. Off to the next location, there were actually multiple different donuts that were exclusive to just this Tim Hortons. But of course, I did get some of those classic donuts to once again make a 6-pack while I was here. We got ourselves the regular honey cruller, which is a popular one, the chocolate cruller, which is just chocolate on top, the strawberry fill, the regular toasted coconut, the chocolate dip, and then of course the classic Boston cream. Starting off with that chocolate dip, which I knew I wasn't expecting anything too fancy, especially having the maple dip just a bit ago. The regular toasted coconut, and this one is okay. If I were to specifically rank the coconut ones, I like the cream one the best, and then I feel like maybe I like this one more than the chocolate. Of course, that Boston cream, obviously one of the goats of different donuts, not only of Tim Hortons, but of all donut places. The strawberry fill, although it is a messy donut, you can see the powder that's going everywhere. This is among the elites of the donuts in my opinion, and the strawberry filling is so nice. The honey cruller, which is definitely one I used to have quite a bit as a kid. Such a nice flaky donut that you could probably have multiple of because it's so light. And then we got the chocolate version of it, which I think is just as good as the honey cruller, but I think if I were to have one or the other, it's the regular one over the chocolate one. Today I wanted to give a shout out to Sentinel 107. And the reason that they ended up getting a shout out is because they joined our YouTube channel membership, which only cost $1.99 a month. Not only do you get the shout out, but you do get lots of other perks, including early access to every single video and shorts that we produce on this channel. So definitely consider joining our YouTube channel membership. It will be greatly appreciated and it will go a long way of helping out this channel a lot. So definitely consider it, but let's get right back to the video. A few days after that last clip, I thought I was finished this video until I realized I missed out on 2 donuts. Now I went to a Tim Hortons near my work, and for some reason, one of the ones I missed out, the vanilla dip, which of course is like the chocolate dip or the maple dip, except vanilla coating, and there's a ton of sprinkles. And after once again trying this for the first time in a while, honestly, it's not that exciting, especially because there's no flavor in the sprinkles, it's just a bunch of sugar. And then the other one I missed out for some reason was the old-fashioned glaze, basically just a glaze on top of the regular old-fashioned plain, and not gonna lie, I actually think the glaze ruins this donut. I think you're better off just having the plain version. Now that I've tried every single donut at Tim Hortons, I'm actually going to be ranking these individually from the worst until what I feel is the best, with the worst in my opinion being the sugar loop. I tasted more sugar than I actually tasted donut, and I feel like that is a very bad thing. The vanilla dip, the Canada Celebration donut, the chocolate glazed followed by the old-fashioned glaze, the chocolate dip. It's simply just a plain donut but with a little bit of chocolate, so I kind of like that. It's not as sugary, but nothing too special. Then we got the maple dip. It's exactly the same thing but replacing the chocolate with the maple, and I really like the maple flavoring a little more than the chocolate here. The double chocolate, the Camp Day donut, get the little added bits of the different chocolate shavings that make it a little bit more flavorful. The honey dip donut, the chocolate toasted coconut donut, the chocolate marshmallow filled ring donut. It's actually fairly light for a donut that seems like it could be very heavy. The chocolate eclair, I thought this was good because of how light it was. I like the idea of how it was cut in half and you had the whipped cream filling along with the one strip of chocolate, which in my opinion, like I mentioned, it's not too much chocolate, which I like. The coconut cream donut, the sour cream glazed donut, the old-fashioned plain, my usual go-to. I will admit that the old-fashioned plain is a hit or miss because oftentimes you're either getting there and it's a freshly baked donut, or it's been sitting there for a while to where it's very difficult to actually bite into. Next up would be the Boston cream, the Canadian maple. It's the same donut but replacing chocolate with maple, but there's something about the maple that is so enjoyable to have and is very refreshing compared to a usual Boston cream. The strawberry fill. My only problem with the strawberry fill is how messy it can be because of the powder, but the strawberry filling is so delicious inside and makes it so flavorful. Chocolate cruller. The chocolate cruller is very flavorful, especially the addition of the chocolate, but I would would personally rather have a regular honey cruller rather than the chocolate cruller, because I feel like adding the chocolate makes it a little bit more heavy and not as light as a regular one. The blueberry sour cream glaze, I think it's adding that blueberry to it that makes it so flavorful and so different compared to the other donut. The apple fritter. This is a donut that I am surprised is one of the cheapest, yet one of the largest donuts. Not only is it a large donut, but it is very flaky and very flavorful when it comes to the apple bits. The reason that technically it actually wouldn't make my #1 pick for the best Tim Hortons donuts, if I did this video when we had the retro donuts, I would definitely be rating the blueberry fritter as the best donut overall, and I think a lot of people would agree with me that that may be the best donut that Tim Hortons has ever created. The regular honey cruller as the best donut. But that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.